Within a minute of getting this show on the road.
Gonna have to guide me on that one.
This was a nice show. It's my first time.
Okay,
That's why you're first.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
very good. All right, I'm going to declare it 7 o'clock. Welcome to the May 11th, 2022 meeting of the Chelmsford Planning Board. We are on Zoom. For those who are not in the room, the phone number for that is 929-205-6099. We will encourage participation through Zoom as best we can, but keep in mind that's as a courtesy, and if something technically goes wrong, as we all know never happens with the computers, we won't stop the meeting. That said, let's see what we have on the agenda. The first thing on the agenda is public input. This is for topics that aren't on the agenda. Just anything you'd like to say, comments, questions. Is anybody here like to say something in our public input session? Anybody at all? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, well, I guess that closes the public input session. Next up is review, wrong side of the page. We have an amendment, a proposed amendment to Chapter 202 subdivision of land, and I think there's another piece of it that pertains to another portion of the bylaws. Let me read the public notice here. The Town of Chelmsford Planning Board will have a public hearing on Wednesday, May 11th, 2022 at 7 o'clock in room 204, Town Offices, 50 Billerica Road, for the purpose of receiving public comment on the following. To amend Chapter 202 subdivision of land, Article 3 design standards and improvements, Section 202.12F, 202.13.b2a, 202.14a, b, c, d, e, and g, 202.17b, 202.19a and d, 202.21, and 202.22 for purposes of amending existing provisions and adding new provisions related to stormwater and low-impact development standards. And to amend the Planning Board site plan and special permit regulations and procedures adopted April 26, 2000, and most recently revised August 12, 2009, sections 2.4, 2.6, 2.8.6, 2.8.8, 2.8.9, and 2.8.11 for purposes of amending existing provisions and adding new provisions related to stormwater and low-impact development standards. Copies of the proposed amendments are available for review at the Planning Board office located at the town offices. And with that, let us get into the presentation. Welcome.
Great. Thank you. I'm Courtney Thompson. I'm the town stormwater engineer. So, we're here to amend some of the site plan and special permit regulations and procedures and the subdivision of land. This basically is just to keep us in compliance with the stormwater regulations and make it so that our current bylaws and regulations don't contradict each other. So the EPA Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, or MS4 permit, allows the town to discharge stormwater to the waters of the USA. The MS4 permit requires that permittees must update their regulatory mechanisms. And part of this is that permittees shall develop, implement, and enforce a program to address post-construction stormwater runoff from new development and redevelopment sites that disturb more than 1 acre and discharge into the MS4. And that permittees must modify their regulations to encourage low-impact development, or LID. The stormwater bylaw passed in spring 2021 was the first step towards compliance, and now we have to change a couple codes to keep consistency throughout the town and to keep us in compliance.
Very good.
So, as I said, the stormwater management bylaw and regulations was approved in spring 2021 at the town meeting, and then the zoning code revisions was approved in fall 2021. So now we just have the subdivision code revisions and the site plan and special permit regulations and procedures revisions left, and then we're all set and in compliance and not contradicting from one bylaw to the other. So the bylaw revisions, the big event. So Chapter 202, subdivision of land. I'm just going to go through all the changes, which in the document I gave you are highlighted in red or scratched out. So first of all, in Article 3, Design Standards and Improvements, Sections 202-12, General Requirements, in Section F, we're proposing to add the addition of volume of contaminant runoff as a design standard requirement.
Contaminant or containment?
Containment, I'm sorry, I misspoke. So we just want to add that as a standard requirement. And then 202.14, stormwater management, there's revisions in A, B, C, and D. In A, we want to require that peak runoff must not be higher following development than it was prior to development. And B requires that storm sewers be based on 25-year storm instead of a 10-year storm. That culverts be based on a 50-year storm rather than a 25-year storm. And that detention basins be designed based on a 100-year storm rather than a 25-year storm. In Section C, requires that stormwater design be based off runoff method of soil conservation service technical release number 20. And in D, it just allows for the use of high-density polyethylene or HDPE pipe in storm sewers, which is standard procedure. All right, and then in the same article, in sections E and G, and E requires that catch basins be located at intervals of not more than 250 feet rather than intervals of 400 feet, and that catch basins have a 4-foot or greater sump pump below the pipe invert rather than a 30-inch or greater sump pump, and that catch basins be constructed of precast concrete rather than precast or concrete blocks. So basically, no longer allowing concrete block construction. And in Section G, requires that runoff be treated prior to connecting to the municipal system. And then in Section 202-19, open spaces and planting, A and D. Section A just allows for low impact development features within open space reservation, and D allows for low impact development features within the right of way. And then throughout the whole document, at the very end of that slide, throughout the whole document, the Massachusetts Department of Public Works has been changed to the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, because that's what it's now called. All right, and then moving on, the site plan and special permit regulations and procedures. Section 2.4, other permits and variances. We want to include the Stormwater Division and the Department of Transportation in the list of permit sources. And then in Section 2.6, calculations, required drainage systems designed in compliance with the Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook and accompanying stormwater standards rather than the DPW stormwater policy. Referred to Chelmsford DPW stormwater management regulations for list of design requirements. Allows the saturated hydraulic conductivity to be determined using Raoult's rate associated with the soil or by performing one of the approved tests from Mass DEP. And requires that stormwater management systems allow for the shutdown and containment to isolate the drainage system in the event of an emergency spill or otherwise unexpected event, and that they are designed to allow low-impact design and green infrastructure techniques when feasible. And then in Section 2.8.6, site improvements, we're proposing requires development to include sufficient open spaces that serve a dual function of providing recreational areas and assisting in management of stormwater runoff through the use of LID and green infrastructure, and allows for the use of permeable materials for sidewalks and encourages the use of LID practices for sidewalks and paved areas, allows for the use of permeable pavement for driveways and parking lots, and encourages that islands, parking bays, and parking lot perimeters include LID techniques. And in section 2.8.8, site utilities, we want to include the encouragement of LID site planning and design strategies. In 2.8.9, waste disposal facilities, we want to make it so it requires that trash areas be secured and reviewed for drainage impacts. And in 2.8.11, landscaping plan, we want to require that landscaping plan incorporate LID stormwater management techniques. So some of the repercussions if we do not revise the codes include that the stormwater regulations would remain inadequate and not cohesive with the new stormwater bylaw that has already been passed, and that we would remain not in compliant with the EPA MS4 permit, and that could result in fines by the EPA. And benefits include that it encourages better landscaping and green infrastructure, it improves our water quality, it encourages groundwater recharge, it improves erosion control, improves aquatic and wildlife habitat, and will put us in compliance with the EPA permit regulations. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? It's all quite consistent with
Yeah.
what we've been discussing for the last year. This is a public hearing, so let me give the public a stab if anybody here would like to comment on or discuss the stormwater regs. Seeing none, and welcome aboard.
Great.
I guess this may be the shortest public hearing in memory.
In a long time.
There's the general sense of the board that we'd be prepared to go ahead and approve?
Endorse.
Endorse, I think is, the right word.
Or actually, these are regulations, so
Oh, so we're approving them?
Well, we approve the regulations and we,
no town meeting actions required.
Okay,
good.
so we actually approve it.
Okay, very good.
Great. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you very much. Thanks
Thank
for
you
the
for having
presentation.
me.
Yeah, love to have you aboard. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Nancy, second by Mike. In favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, and we got a couple more out there. Hi, Tim. Then, no further discussion. I would accept a motion to approve the, let's see, we're approving our own regulations here. And we're also, is there anything here at all that has to go to town meeting, or are we all done with town meeting on this matter?
Well done with town meeting.
Then it's strictly an approval.
Motion to approve the modifications to our regulations as presented.
Second.
I guess, okay, got a second over there. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tim?
I'm an aye.
Yeah, 7. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Space here, right there.
Okay,
It's a spot.
that one's been a long time coming. That one's been cooking for 2
Long
years.
time.
All right, next up, I believe we have an A&R for 14 and 16 Pleasant Street. It sounds like a land swap. Is there anybody here representing any of the parties there who wishes to say something? All right, do we have materials we could look at?
Yeah, we do, they're
Okay.
attached.
Green, and then there's too small and too large. I can just pass
Okay,
it
so
down.
this is just twiddling the property line, what, to make clearance for something?
Yeah, I'm looking at the notes.
Did you see this one?
What happens to the shed that now ends up on the property line?
Nice. Here you go, guys.
Where are you seeing that?
Where was that
Or is that,
There the
I'm trying to figure out.
Right in the middle. There's a shed.
Yep, I see it.
I presume that the line that is more vertical is the new line.
Is
And
that
it-
correct?
Note number 4 says the purpose of this plan is to show a land swap between 14-1A and Lot 2A,
Yeah.
as shown.
You're talking about this little
Lot
short.
A will be combined with Lot 2A. Lot A will be combined with,
With
Oh, okay,
2A.
so it's the other way.
Oh, Lot A will be
Yeah, so
combined with 2A.
what it's doing is it's getting the shed off the property.
All right, so it takes the shed off the property line instead of putting it on the
Exactly.
property line.
Okay,
All right.
and the rest is pre-existing. It certainly isn't making it any more non-conforming.
correct.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the A and R with no, endorse the A and R with no determination as to zoning. Who done
So
it?
moved.
Second?
Second. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sounds unanimous, okay. The next one up is Barnes Terrace. Request to endorse final plans and covenant.
Hello,
Hi.
my name's Hannah Palmer, and I'm here with the Form J covenant signed by the owners of lots 2A and 2B on Barnes Terrace.
Okay. Right over there.
Yeah, we'll get the,
Is that that's a standard form set?
yes, it is. Yep.
Okay.
So just for the board, this is boilerplate. The decisions have been recorded with the town clerk. We're still in the appeal period, I believe, but the applicant has turned around the final plans for endorsement of Mylar, as well as the Form J covenant. So we're looking for a vote to endorse the final plans, and then a second vote to endorse the covenant.
Any comments from the board?
Do we have anything from engineering on the final plan?
So I have sent an email to Beta, if you recall, this was
Yeah.
peer reviewed. Beta, Phil is on vacation. So if you wanted to, you could vote conditionally to withhold the A and R until Phil comes back. I think he's due back on the 13th.
Yeah.
I've reviewed them.
Yeah, my
Everything-
recollection was we were so
Pretty-
close.
Yeah, it was pretty clear cut
Yeah.
between the two
Yeah.
engineers.
Okay, I don't think there's a big point in delaying this. Anybody else? Want to check in? Okay, then,
I would be okay with approving it contingent upon the engineer's
sign off.
final sign-off.
When would that be likely to take place?
He comes back on the 13th, whether he gets
Next
to that,
Monday.
immediately, or it takes a couple days.
13, that's a week. That's a week, okay. That would be acceptable, I mean, if you felt that was.
Then I would so move to that effect.
We have a
Second.
motion? Second?
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I
Aye.
vote on this one?
I
Or
don't think
no?
I
Do I
will.
have to abstain from this?
Barnes.
Have you been on
I
the
think
whole
I have
thing?
to abstain also.
I think these I have to abstain because I wasn't here.
If you weren't here for the start, you can't vote.
Yeah, I can't remember when did this start.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Tim?
I'm an aye.
Okay, that's 5. So that first piece of this is passed. What was the second piece?
The covenant.
The covenant.
What's the covenant?
Take a motion to approve and accept the covenant.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Approve and accept the
Deirdre,
covenant.
second.
Second.
Mike? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tim?
I'm an aye.
Okay, 5 ayes, 2 abstentions.
All right.
Okay,
We'll get these signed tonight.
yep.
You'll be able to pick them up.
Do you have the Mylars with you?
I do, yep.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Good. Okay. The next one up is off Billrica Road, COID applicability. And, yeah, this is the piece, as I recall, that's up behind the forum. As I recall, as I said, there's a hillock back there of a couple of acres
Right, good.
that's far enough above the water to
Yes, good evening,
Not
everyone.
flood in a 100-year storm?
Katie Enright with Howard Stein Hudson. I'll jump in. I'm here on behalf of Eric O'Brien and 10X Storage, and Eric is with me here tonight. Eric is both the real estate agent that's been working to sell this site and also part of 10X Self-Storage. So historically, I've been working with Doug Landry, who owned both 11 Walters that you just saw with Outdoor Pride purchasing it, and he also owns this part of this side of the road. I have probably done more concept plans on this than I can count. For every use under the sun that is pretty much allowed by the bylaw. And when Eric picked this up and started marketing it, we started looking at other uses, and then we kind of fell on self-storage. And we fell on self-storage for a multitude of reasons. This site is on approximately 10 acres. It is basically an island out behind the forum, where there's a couple acres of upland, or just under a couple of acres of upland. And a couple things. It accesses through Billerica at the intersection of Brick Hill and a 50-foot wide easement that was put in place in 1964 that went over the road to access this parcel. So the access has been there for quite some time. Mr. Landry's been out there. I've walked out there with Eric. And so there's this piece of property here. It's in the IA district. It is weirdly not within the BAOD, even though across the street is. So this site, even though it's kind of at the end of the BAOD, was left out. So it's in the IA district, so the industrial district. It's covered with the COID, the Community Enhancement Investment Overlay District, because it's in the IA district. It's also in the Aquifer Protection District, and what we're proposing would also require Aquifer Protection District special permit and major business complex because of the size of the building. So what we looked at were a couple different things, and a couple different things drew us to this use. One of them being extremely low traffic, extremely low sewerage, which not only is the moratorium in place, but there's no sewer here.
I believe it doesn't get to the other side of Route 3.
It's Billerica on the other side. No sewerage at all. So even if the moratorium didn't exist, it would be difficult to tie in. Extremely low sewerage, extremely low parking, off-peak hours, and more building than pavement, meaning the stormwater that comes off this building is clean. Also, we're looking at a footprint here, which is about 12,000 square feet. The building, if you look at kind of the large dimensions, is about, I wrote this down, about 165 by 75-ish. It's actually smaller footprint than the gristmill building. But we are proposing 6 stories. And that, I know this is the first time you've seen 6 stories. 6 stories is allowed by right in the BAOD district in this entire area. It's allowed across the street, and it's allowed all along 129, all the way up to and including 270 Billerica Road. To make this economically viable, we need those stories for storage units. So we're looking at a storage unit project that's 6 stories. Other things about this site is it's the lowest site out of any site within that 6-story district, or that 6-story allowed district. Actually, kind of the contour that wraps the biggest part of this hill is about 110. As far as a topographical contour, when you're looking at, just kind of for grade-wise, when you're looking at the ramp at 129 and that intersection, the grade there is 135. So we're 25 feet lower than the grade at the ramp in 129. 129 itself is at about grade 133. Again, the site's at about 110. So we're significantly lower, about 2 stories lower than the road. When you get to the Brick Hill entry, we're at 129, and then it drops down next to the side of 129 to about an elevation of 109, and then goes back up to about 110, 111. And then the forum itself, based on GIS, we didn't survey the forum, is at an elevation of about 119. So also when you think about this site, you think about height and you think about how it's affecting or who it's affecting, but also the distance from all of our neighbors too, which is pretty significant here too. So we have The building's about 200, would be a little bit around 250 feet from the ramp in 129. It's about 280 feet from 129 to the front, and it's about 400 feet plus from the Forum. And that area is all wooded. It's all wetlands, and it's all wooded for the entire area. So our basically our abutters are the Forum, 129, and the ramp and the highway itself. And the highway goes up again to about elevation 135 before it goes back down to the highway at 115. So even from the highway, you're looking through a hill to kind of see this site in that area. What we showed you, or what we proposed to you in the packet, were some other examples of 10x self-storage. As you can see, the building varies a little bit. They worked in Marlborough, Acton, Worcester. Right, did I catch all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So, trying to think if there's anything else. So we proposed a circular driveway. We put the fire truck on there for the town of Chelmsford. We also put a WB-40 tractor trailer in there just so you could see that. There are 3 loading areas at the front of the building. It's preferred to be at the front of the building, even though we're hundreds of feet from 129, just for visual purposes. And those stay out of the way of essentially traffic going in that counterclockwise direction. We did have a internal department head meeting yesterday just to kind of go over some of the stuff. Where this is a different project, Evan thought it might be worthwhile to get together with people like fire and engineering and building and just make sure there wasn't anything else that kind of stood out with the initial kind of pass of this concept plan. It is important to have the height, so I know I've been watching certainly the applicabilities that have been coming before this board. I would like to have a little bit of a conversation, as certainly economically, if we were to take 2 floors off this building, which in the IA district standard by right without the overlay would be 4 stories, 45 feet. This building, we figured I put 90 on the plan. It's actually 75. So I can update that. We talked a little bit more about what that would be as far as height. In the BAOD, in the red outline, you are allowed to go to 90 by right with the 6 stories, and then anything over that, you need a special permit from this board. So we essentially were looking to apply that, and again, that's not residential uses. So some of the things that we've done here certainly look to height. Without 2 floors, with a 12,000 square foot footprint, this would not work economically. So certainly going from applicability to site plan is a lot of cost associated with engineering, et cetera. So I really want to get a feeling from this board if we should continue tonight and provide you with more information regarding the height. I would rather us do that for the next meeting and just essentially have a conversation about what you see here. As I said, I've been looking at this land since I think 2017. So we've been here. I've been here in kind of looking at things for a while. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me pass it around the board. Who'd like to be up first?
Since I'm from East Chelmsford and probably
Yes.
know this the most intimate with this area. So first of all, I think it's a great idea for this location. Like if we're going to put something in there, this is perfect.
This is the thing, yeah.
So I do appreciate that. I do have some concerns though, because I've lived through UPS coming in, lived through us suing Billerica, lived through this all being flooded, the road being closed. So I've got concerns about the wetlands. Also, East Chelmsford Water, I believe, abuts this. And we've got the canals from Lowell that come through here. What I know that you're going to go for an applicability. I think that's the Conservation Committee that does
So we
that?
will have to submit a full notice of intent with the Conservation Commission because the entire site is within the 100-foot buffer. We are abiding by the local bylaw, which is over and above kind of what DEP requires, which is a 25-foot no disturb, a 30-foot no pavement, a 50-foot no building. We will have to fully design this to meet stormwater compliance, and that's both your local bylaw and what's required by the state of Massachusetts. That would be peer reviewed. And again, the majority of the water coming off the site would be considered clean because it's coming off the roof of the building and can be infiltrated right back into the ground. So we would have to meet all of those standards.
Yeah, I know we had some issues with the school buses being parked at the Forum regarding East Chelmsford water. Will that be covered through the conservation? Like, where does that come into play with the East Chelmsford water? Because I know there was some issue with that.
Right, so the floodwaters, or there is, from what I know, I don't believe there's an AE flood zone that's within
Yep.
the dry land that's on this site. It stays within the wetlands itself. I'm not sure what the elevation of that parking lot is and why the drainage existed there, or why the stormwater puddled there in the first place. I'm aware that, yeah, the buses that were parked all over there, that gets wet. I can certainly talk to engineering and see if they historically understand why that happened. It could have been something to do with a culvert.
Yeah, I like to, like, if anything, I like to just
stormwater.
make sure we bring in the water to
Yeah.
make sure that this is, since it so closely abuts East Chelmsford water for us.
Yep.
And there's been some concerns with that. And then, you know, more than anything is the wetlands in dealing with Billerica, because when we had UPS, when we had all the flooding, they had to close Billerica would close the street. Then we had, fire safety, all that issue trying to get to East Chelmsford. Like, Chelmsford Fire Police couldn't come through there because Billerica would close it. And then, I don't even know who ended up paying for fixing the bridge over there, but that was 20 some odd years ago. And just driving on it recently, that water's kind of looking like it could come over. And obviously the street's could use some more repair. But I do think if you're going to build something there, this would be the ideal location. And then the intersection, it's an awkward little street exit. Well, are you going, since that's Billerica, are you going to Billerica?
We're going to have to go to Billerica, yes. And so we haven't done that yet. Obviously, like, this right-of-way's been in place since 1964, but we do definitely have to go to Billerica and talk to them about this and what that means. And then certainly as part of Major Business Complex, we'll have a traffic engineer on the project team also, as we would move forward into site plan review to talk about the geometry of that intersection and how that would work. And the number of car trips that we're talking about too. Some of the stuff too that we also spoke about yesterday with fire was also related to security and having a locked gate, hours of operation, things like that to kind of keep people from going back there also during non-business hours.
Yeah, because it's an awkward,
It is.
I don't know if you guys have driven by it, but it's literally right
Yeah, it's right
at the
edge.
corner. So you have all the trucks from UPS going, and then I don't know who pays for the police officer for the traffic for UPS.
UPS doesn't.
Yeah, they do.
Huh?
They pay the police.
They pay it.
They pay, right, so, but like, it's just not that there's a lot of traffic for something like this, but it's just, I could see someone with a, U-Haul truck trying to get in there with the other, like, it's a weird intersection. But like I said, I think it's a great idea if it all works.
But the roadway goes down next to the Forum and comes out the entrance to the Forum entrances. Same
No.
entrance.
No, that's the problem. It
No,
doesn't.
that's the problem. It goes like,
So it's up by the intersection?
It's right
yes,
at the
right
intersection.
at the intersection.
Yeah, this is right. This is Brick Hill. It comes right 50 foot is off of 129.
Right, like,
Yeah.
So there's a gate there right now. You can kind of
Oh,
look
okay.
for it. You can see
Yeah.
there's an access
Yeah.
drive that goes back there that you can.
Oh, I thought it was coming down next to the Forum.
Nope.
no, that would be
No,
nice.
it comes right out at Brick Hill and 129.
Be a whole lot better if it did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how wide will this road be and how well lit, like, because
So-
it's kind of a,
20 feet. So we're trying to minimize it, obviously, for wetland consideration. So there is wetlands along the existing gravel road that's there today too. We're going to improve it to a 20-foot wide paved road. There's multiple culverts that go under there now. There's actually a town of Chelmsford culvert that comes from under 129 that carries the water from the other side at Walters under 129 and dumps out over here too. So that's something we're also going to be looking at. 20 feet wide is what's required for fire access, typically when it's adjacent to a building. It's good for two-way traffic. We haven't talked about lighting it along the way yet, so that would certainly be on the plan. But we
or
haven't
anything
talked
like
about
on the
fixtures.
side, like my biggest fear is someone won't, like, because again, like, knowing, I know it so intimately, right? You're going all the way around the Forum to your location. And you have wetlands on either side, right? Like someone is not comfortable driving a U-Haul truck, like, will there be some sort of protection for them not to fall in or kind of go?
Yeah, and it's not a significant elevation difference when you're walking through there on
But
either
it's all
side too.
wet.
But yeah, no,
It's
I
all,
understood,
like,
understood.
It's not, like, I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily concerned about falling, but like, it's all, like, you end up in water and,
Yeah, understood. Yeah, it's not shown in the detail of this plan yet, but that's something certainly we could add. We could look at the guardrails along those sections, absolutely.
I think that you would have to do something like that because, again, it's just so long and.
Yep. Very good. Nancy?
Yeah. Katie, can you come straight out onto Billerica? Is there a
So,
reason, I mean, you've got the property up to,
yeah, the
Billerica
reason is
Road.
it's 20 feet higher than, yeah. So it's basically right here.
yeah.
It's like 133 to like 109.
So you've got a major drop off there.
Yeah, right after that
Like,
gate.
yeah,
Oh.
like so this works because it comes
Yeah,
down,
I
down,
see.
down,
It goes,
down,
it goes
down,
gradual,
and
yeah.
then it goes kind of flat, and then it goes up.
Yeah, I
So,
get it.
Yeah, I mean, technically we have frontage on 129,
But-
it's huge. It's a
But
huge
but
drop.
it's not something that you can fill and ramp.
Right, it would be, yeah, it'd be really
I'm just
hard to
asking.
do. Yeah, no, it would be really
I'm just
hard to
asking.
do.
I am really, really concerned about bringing that road out into the middle of an existing intersection. And, you know, keeping in mind, Bill Rickham gets to make that decision, not us.
Yep.
But I am really concerned about that. The other thing that that I want to put on the table here, in terms of a 6-story storage building, is we do have a history of rejecting a big blank wall, high storage building along the highway. Okay? And it was really because it was a big blank wall.
Was that Stedman Street?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, you know, if we go forward with this as a 6-story building, you're looking at bringing something architecturally to us that is not going to look like a mountain or a jail.
Got it. I'm not going to write that in the
Understood.
notes, though.
I mean, you know, I just want to tell you that up front because
Yeah, one good thing about this is, again, like the Stedman Street one is kind of like right
it
on
was
the
in your face.
Well, and because it was right on the fence to Route 3,
Yeah.
and then they cleared all of Route 3 for stormwater,
Yeah.
so there was like nothing between.
and it was up
closed.
high to begin with.
It
you know.
was. So one thing we've got
So-
going here is that we've got, these are just his other facilities, but
Yeah.
we've got distance and we've got vegetation. So a couple things we could do, definitely when we came back, or if you wanted us to look at it now, was look at the sight lines, right? From through the existing
Yeah.
vegetation that's there now and putting the building kind of in there. And it's not as in your face as the other one, but definitely,
Yeah, just
We're
be
hearing you.
cognizant
Yeah,
of
the
it. You know?
vegetation's there, though. I mean, there's not a lot of vegetation. It's, you know, high grass, like not a lot of trees that
That are high enough
Huh.
to
hide it. You're going to see it for Brick Hill
well,
Road.
you'll see it through.
Yeah, but
through
there's a
this
difference
here
between
and stuff,
hiding
too.
the building and breaking up the face of it.
Understood.
Yeah.
All set?
All right. That's all I've got. I mean, Concom will deal with what Concom deals with, and I certainly trust that you are outside the floodplain, because I don't think your customers would be at all happy if you weren't.
And I will make sure I double, I'm sure I
Make
looked at
sure
it
you
before, but I am
double-check
going
on
to
those
double check
things.
it.
But, I mean, it looks like a reasonable use for that site. There's not a lot of reasonable uses for that site. So, yeah.
Mike?
So what's the formal address?
off Billerica Road.
Like, is that the legitimate number?
Yeah, there's an assessor's.
There's no number.
Yeah, it
They call
doesn't,
them when they don't have a number.
yeah, they don't have a number because
Process
there's
to get a number
no
assigned? Okay.
improvements there.
Yeah, so the
So-
E911, well, we'll have to work with Billerica and the E911 committee to come up with an address.
So the applicability tonight is for COID, but you're talking about BAOD. For height.
I'm telling you, no, this is a COID filing, and we're asking for a special permit to allow us to go to 6 stories and 75 feet.
Okay, but in COID, it's not allowed.
Right, so on the Parkhurst Road self-storage that we did for the Hall family, that we sought a larger FAR than what was allowed on the table because it was more floor area than pavement. And so the board at that point gave us a special permit to allow us to go to a 1 FAR, I believe,
Yep.
where you're only allowed to go to a .67. So the board allows you to go to kind of it's kind of a super special permit, I guess, that's what we've kind of decided to call it outside of the zoning bylaw.
And did you say, just a quick question,
Mm-hmm.
that you are in the 100-foot buffer zone, the entire building?
The entire upland area is in the 100-foot buffer, yes.
It is?
Yes,
And do we traditionally put buildings in?
yes.
the
Yep,
100%?
50 feet. 50.1 feet, the Conservation Commission can approve a building in the buffer zone.
50.1 feet.
Yeah,
So if
50
you're
feet.
100% in.
They can
what's-
still approve
What's your
it.
dimension?
Of,
You're saying 50 feet in the buffer zone.
no, you have to be 50 feet away from the wetland line. That's a
Okay.
Chelmsford Conservation Commission bylaw, is that
Okay.
a building be placed 50 feet from the wetland line at a
And what's the
minimum.
dimension you have?
Believe I have the 50-foot buffer shown on here, and it's this line here.
So some spots,
This
you're
part
right.
comes out here. This other color here, so this is the 25 no disturb. So this isn't all, the wetlands is out here, this other color green. We have a 25 no disturb, 30 no pave, 50 no bill.
So this is hitting the 50, right? Some spots are hitting it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll have the exact dimensions once the building, when the building is when the building is designed and given to me
Yep.
from an architect, we'll have to have all those dimensions, and the Conservation Commission, if they approved it, would ask for it to be staked typically, if we're that close to 50, which we do. Basically, the surveyors have to go out and stake it, so they make sure that they maintain the 50-foot.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah.
Paul?
I don't have anything.
Deirdre?
Katie, you are maintaining the 30-foot no pave, am I correct?
There's one little section on this concept that has sidewalk and a little piece of wall in it, and we can move that out.
Okay. How tall is the building on Parkhurst?
I believe I'll have to look back. I believe it's 4 stories.
Do we have any 6-story buildings in Chelmsford?
Well, the bylaw was just approved under the BAOD to allow for 6 stories. So that wasn't allowed before that, before the Business Amenities Overlay District.
What's the
stories
mill
and how many
in
feet?
North Chelmsford?
But this is outside that district.
This is this is
Okay.
one property, right. Across the street is, and all the properties next to it are. This one was
So
left
we have
out.
tall buildings like
Yeah.
the mill.
The
I don't
mills.
know if it's 6 stories. We do have buildings that are taller
Yeah.
than 45 feet
Yeah.
high.
So
We have anything
because you're
over
not in the CEIOD, you would need a special permit to go above 4, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I just got a little confused when you were talking about by right. And then the septic, where is that gonna go?
So I have it sketched out here in the parking lot, right here in front of the building.
Uh-huh.
So that would need to go through the Board of Health. So we'd need to do testing with their consultant to determine water table and soil texture, design the plan, submit it through the Board of Health for review and approval.
So I share Anita's concerns about the flooding in the wetland and frankly, the safety going across that driveway or whatever you call it, or gravel road. But I also am quite concerned about having a septic system basically in a wetlands abutting the water district.
So that would fully comply with Title V, which is the Mass State law and your local Board of Health regulations.
Well, we haven't done many septic systems, and the ones that have been done,
Well,
I
not in 20
understand, have
years.
had
Before,
a
right,
number of, like, a lot of issues.
well, because their lifetime is about 20, 25 years. And so sewer has been in place, well, it's been in progress for 20, 25 years. So
No,
when
but I mean, the recent septic systems that have gone into a couple subdivisions, my understanding is there's quite a lot of, there's been a steep learning curve, maybe is a good way to say it.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know which ones you're talking about, but.
In any case, I think septic systems is not our territory.
No, I know, but I mean,
Board of Health.
if,
Well, to provide a little clarity, so the water district will receive requests for comments. They're aware of this project. They were not able to attend yesterday's review meeting, but they did submit, I think, 3 comments. I may have forwarded you their email.
I don't think
No.
so.
Okay. So the district is already
East Chelmsford
identified.
District, East Chelmsford Water?
No. The wells, the property adjacent to this is owned by Center off Canal Street.
Yeah,
That's all Chelmsford Water. It's one of their major well fields.
so we should probably bring in East Chelmsford.
That's fine, too. That's
Because
fine.
East Chelmsford hits its water here, too.
You're referring to who's going to supply the water.
Yeah,
Okay, understood. But as far as Aquifer Protection, which I think is what you, Chelmsford Water District is involved. And Board of Health was there yesterday, so they're aware. In between the two of them, between protecting the aquifer and locating a septic system, they're all going to have to be fully compliant. In past projects, the water districts asked for required monitoring wells or increased spill contamination, things of that nature. So be assured that the water district will review, they'll provide comment to protect their resource.
I mean, I guess I don't know enough about how those things bear on us, but I would want to know kind of what they were going to put into place and how it was going to be enforced, and that they agree that this is a reasonable plan
Exactly.
before I would want to agree to applicability personally. I don't know if that's taking the cart before the horse.
I think
little
this
bit.
may go a little bit beyond applicability. Applicability says the basic concept of the project is consistent with the overlay and
From
with
a
the
planning
underlying
board
district.
perspective.
But it
Not
does not,
approving the
it does not
project.
go to any of the detailed
Exactly.
Right.
permitting aspects. So,
But
But-
that's good.
but
And all of
Then
those
you're
things
worried
have
about
to
that
be
too.
addressed when the actual
Yeah.
project comes in.
He understands where you're coming from.
yeah.
but I do have a concern, again, kind of going back to our issues with Billerica and the flooding in this area, is this road would be Billerica or Chelmsford? It starts in
The
Billerica.
driveway starts in Billerica, and then it would be in Chelmsford, and it'd be a driveway.
So is it a town road? So
No,
it's their own-
it's a private
okay.
driveway.
Okay, so that's a little bit better. We don't have to worry about them deciding to shut the road on us again. I personally do have an issue with the height. Not that I don't necessarily think that it's fine. It's just from an ethical perspective, like state law says that, town meeting needs to approve our zoning. And while we have the right for special permits, ethically, I don't feel comfortable. If the zoning is 45 feet high, 4 stories, if we're talking 5 stories or,
Basically double.
55 feet high, then I feel that, like we have, that's within our purview. But to be, 50% more than what the current zoning is, I feel that's a workaround the law. And ethically, I just don't feel comfortable voting on that.
Well, it's 2 stories below the grade, essentially, at the street, and basically from the public right-of-way on
Yeah,
both
if it was
sides.
one or the other, like, again, it's all about how much more, and again, like, there's a reason why the state law's there, and I think this is a great use for that property. But yeah, just, from an ethical perspective, I don't feel comfortable.
Okay, we've been around.
Tim.
Tim?
I'm good. I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, thanks. Well, my comments, I guess at this stage, it certainly looks applicable under CO. In terms of the height, it's within our scope to grant the special permitting for that. If it were unethical, then the town wouldn't let us do it. The rule, the bylaw would be different. Bylaw, as I understand it, in this case, allows us to grant that. And so we have to consider whether it's appropriate to the particular site, but I don't see a problem beyond appropriateness to the particular site. And it seems to me that the bottom story or two of this thing's going to kind of disappear in the hole, at least from the perspective
From a
of.
visual standpoint.
You're still
From a
setting
visual standpoint.
precedent. You're
Huh?
setting precedent with the first six-story building.
No, it's the first one, but it's not a precedent in any way. It's not actionable by somebody
And
else.
I personally would rather go in front of town meeting and have them
Yeah.
approve
I'm
it.
not-
It could be done.
It's,
That's
no, it's
zoning.
allowed by right in the BAOD. So all of the
45 feet
existing,
is-
no, 60 in the
60, but
BAOD.
you're outside
No,
the-
not 60, sorry. Right, 6 stories, 90 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. We should ask ourselves why this one site was left out of it. I guess
And then
I
we go in
don't.
front of town
Well,
meeting and ask them to include,
you
I would
just
feel
Well,
more
then this
comfortable doing
project,
that.
this project will go away. That's what I'm saying, is that's why we're here tonight, is if it's not 6 stories, this project goes away. And that's why we need to understand if we're going to go spend $100,000 in engineering to answer all of these questions, or if we should just stop now.
Stays what ones then?
So the approval
problem.
tonight, the applicability.
Is
for
applicability. It's
COA.
only applicable.
However, we're giving them the approval that we're not gonna fight the 6 stories.
No, we're not saying that.
We're not
but,
even saying that.
And I think that's,
Going all the way to the end like other ones have done.
Yeah.
And we've all got caught up on the same item that was here
yeah,
tonight.
it's
Right.
happened to us
So-
more than once.
So I think if we've got to express, if you are gonna approve it, we should express that if it is the height issue, and if it's gonna be a year from now and we're gonna deny it because of a height issue.
Yeah, then I
they should
think
know
we need
about
to
it
say so
We're
now.
not saying, go
They should
ahead,
know about it before they invest
we're
in
not gonna go
this.
ahead and do, that we're endorsing the 6 stories today, and then we're gonna have an issue in.
Well, I think the way you would do this is we probably straw poll the matter of height. Because we really can't do anything binding tonight
You can't
about
vote
the height. We
about
can't
the
vote
height.
on whether we would or would not in the future grant it. That's not within the purview of this board.
Yeah, but that's the
We
basis.
we can give a sense of what the board would do.
But that's the basis of her,
Yeah.
proposal
Right.
tonight is 6
Right.
stories, BOAD, getting the special permit to match
Right.
the height across the street.
Okay, and so then-
So if we don't if we don't even talk about it.
Oh, no, we
you're
talk
send-
about
you're
it.
sending them down the wrong road.
We talk it, and I don't want to send them down the wrong
And there's gonna be
road.
a lot of engineering spent.
Yeah.
And then
Huge
they're gonna,
amount of
and then
money,
there's gonna
yeah.
be a lot of heartache, and then,
Yeah, I agree. Mike,
Do
you're
you
right,
want to
absolutely
take
right.
Katie up on her, did you mention something about perspectives?
Yeah,
Did you
no,
share?
absolutely. And I'm also,
You wanna do that
taking
as part of
what Nan
applicability?
said into consideration too. That's something that your understanding of, if we don't come back with a better perspective or a better look of that wall, then you will be a no vote for sure.
I would
So
be.
we're going to try, that's the thing, is we're going to try, based on what the information you've given us tonight, we have work to do to hopefully get you to a yes.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
we can understand that, if there's work that can be done to get you to a yes with the 6 stories, we could certainly come back and at the next meeting with perspectives or
I
two
think,
meetings
I think
from
that
now, if
makes,
that's
I think that
helpful.
makes a lot of sense. I personally don't have any problem with 6 stories, but I have the aesthetic concern. And that I'd like to see if we could, see something about it.
Well, part and parcel of the aesthetic concern is the
Yeah,
bulk of the
yeah, they're all
building.
kind of interrelated,
Bulk.
Is
but,
there any
Yeah.
possibility of going to 5?
No. It's purely based with this type of use, it's purely based on the number of units that provides you with the economics of the site. And so we basically have been trying to make that work to even get to this point.
But, I mean, we've heard that before, too.
Katie, are they planning on using storage on the first floor?
Yes, but there's also, within the first floor, there's also loading, there's also the office and other items.
What happens if it floods?
No, it will not flood at this height. This
Will not
this
flood at
building
that
will
height.
be at, well, about 115 elevation. And the wetland around it is at a 107.
Okay.
That'd be a heck of a lot of water to
Right.
flood that.
Awful lot of water because
Right.
that's.
That would
that's
be
all
the
big,
highway
large-
elevation.
Yeah,
is
yeah, exactly. The
115.
highway would be flooded at that point. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you would like to bring us some pictures, or drawings at least, if that's feasible.
First, in 2 weeks, or first meeting in June.
So did you present the other facilities?
Yes, we have those. So it would be this facility at 6 stories in the site.
Yeah.
Could we do that within 2 weeks, or do you
2
think we
weeks.
need until the first meeting in June?
We could try for 2 weeks. One thing I'd say about it is,
Why don't you
I'm not
step
sure.
up and introduce yourself?
For the mic, for the TV.
Yeah.
Eric O'Brien, 10X Self-Storage.
Yeah.
One thing I'd say is, I think one side of the building, the long end, the short end of the building would face 129, and the longer side would face Route 3 and the highway ramp.
Yeah.
That corner between those two sides that would face to the southwest would have an architectural feature on it that would probably be 3 stories of, glass sort of display units that gives kind of an interesting sort of city look, if you will, with the building versus the glass, and it just creates a little bit of, eye-catching sort of,
Yeah, that's, I think, what we're looking for.
Yeah.
and we need that, because otherwise it does look like somebody said a prison,
Yeah. Yeah,
we don't want that. Nobody wants to go.
Nobody wants to see that.
And sometimes the fire department requires additional windows,
Yeah.
which are nice when you're in the facility to get some natural light. So we're not opposed to some windows, not a lot of windows, but
Yeah.
it is nice to have those. And they like to put their ladders up to them, I think. But we want it to look nice, we really want it to look like, a really spectacular piece of architecture, and
Yeah.
that would be the goal.
Okay.
But how much can we afford with a storage building is the challenge that we face, and we wrestle
Yeah.
with that. And the 6th story is really the profit. Below that, it's just what we call break even, and we can't survive with that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I have a question.
Yeah, I know how that works.
Where could we see a 6-story storage facility nearby?
Let me see. Let me think about that. Can I
I'd like to.
can I get back
I'd
to you
like
on?
to visit one and see what.
Can I get back to you on that?
Sure.
So is Marlboro considered a 4 or a 5-story?
Marlboro's 5, I believe. It's 5 on.
So the pictures we're seeing here would be a 5-story
Do you see the
building.
east? Are you looking at the 5-story side?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, can I step forward a little bit? Do you mind?
Please do.
yeah.
Does our fire apparatus get to 6 stories?
It does. That's what I was told, because I asked the same question. So there are 2 stories below here, there's a
Are you gonna
story
get the
there,
fire
so
chief
yeah,
here?
so then there's 3 stories of this sort of glass picture
Yeah.
frame, and that's 5 stories.
There's 2
But it's
below it.
built on a hill, so the upside of it is
Yeah.
3
Is that
stories,
3
and
stories?
the lower
I
side,
think he was looking for.
it was nice to have the hill, for that reason, the loading docks on 2 levels.
Where it's not supposed to go?
So basically, what you're looking at here would put one more story on top of that.
That's all. Yeah. Yeah,
And likewise, it would be sunk 2 stories
Yeah, and when we
under the
approach
road.
that from the other building next door, you're looking at that, and it looks really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the view right there.
Okay.
Yeah, but from Brick Kiln,
And the other thing about
it's
it
not
is,
down.
Katie designed it with a really interesting floor plan that kind of jigs a little bit and jags, and it's not just this square,
Yeah. Yeah.
And we didn't necessarily, squares are easier to work with, but this follows
But
the
this uses
contour.
more of your available site.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the footprint got
Yeah.
so
That was
small.
to stay in the
It just-
50 feet.
It just kept
Yeah.
getting smaller. We said, well, I need loading, and then
Yeah.
it got even smaller, and then,
Yeah.
we had like 80,000 square feet, and now we're down to 72,
Just barely 72, it's under, yeah.
which is, this facility is
Yeah.
78, and Worcester is 86, and we have another one next to this that's gonna be 90,000. This one in Chelmsford is only 72, so it's small. It's not as small as Acton, but, It's not a huge, as far as storage facilities go, it's like medium-sized.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, good. That gives us a sense. So you've got a couple of things for you to do. Is 2 weeks fine, or you want to go 4 weeks? I mean, make it easy on yourself.
Do you think,
I will be here anyway in 2 weeks.
Okay,
If
might
it's
as well.
problematic for me to ask for a continuance that night if we weren't ready, or we didn't have the stuff submitted the Friday before, certainly. Otherwise,
right.
we can come back at the
Why
beginning of
why
June.
don't we try that then?
So the request is that if you can't have the materials in on Friday, that
Right,
you
that we
request a
request a continuance.
continuance on Friday?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, this is not a situation in which I think
Yeah.
we're looking at a lot of public input. There may be some, there will be some. But I don't want to have 20 people get disappointed.
No, and Evan and I usually talk that Friday
we
to make
don't
sure
wanna
the
continue at the
agenda
last minute.
Agenda has all the information posted.
Okay, then I would, if we're all set, I would take a motion to continue this for 2 weeks.
So moved.
Second.
Moved, second, in favor?
Aye.
Tim? I think he said aye.
He's good.
I'm good. I'm good.
had to find the.
Turn
I
on
read
your
your, I read your
Zoom.
mind, Tim.
All right. All right. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
off Bill Ricker Road.
That's usually you.
Yeah, this,
Not in a windy spot.
this off is the thing that they do when it doesn't have an address. I have a small parcel that's off. Okay, 9 Acton.
I gave
Yep.
a hard copy,
Yep.
slightly revised, just some minor edits. It's fairly straightforward. I think the highlights are likely the special conditions
Yeah,
on bottom of page 6.
okay, I think that's gonna be the,
So just to refresh the board's memory, at the last meeting, the board voted to approve or ratifying the decision this evening. So special condition 1 is pretty boilerplate, prior to endorsement of final plans, revise it per the beta peer review letters, fire prevention letter, and then letter C is attempting to capture the notion that Nan Arroway, on behalf of the board, will review the landscape plan, provide comments back to Katie so that they can be.
Which I haven't done yet.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. The second one is prior to issuance of any building permit, that the easement for the future access to the brook area
yeah,
will be provided.
all right.
I just want to bring to the board's attention that all that the plan proposed was to provide the easement. The area in which the pedestrian easement is located is proposed to be grass.
Okay,
And the discussion was that would be a suitable snow storage area,
yeah,
okay?
yeah, well, I don't think you're gonna have a lot of traffic on the
Exactly.
brick walk
Yeah.
snow season.
Third one is prior to the issuance of individual occupancy permits. This is per town council's input to the board about how and when to pay PILO. So, the 4.5 units at 125 each comes out to 562,500. If you divide that by 18, it comes out to 31,250.
Right, okay,
So council said for ownership, it's fairly easy to regulate when payments are due. And he recommended that every time an individual unit requested occupancy, you would obtain
yeah, it's
payment.
eminently
That's fine.
reasonable, yeah.
So that's the easiest mathematical. The applicant developer is aware of this timing. They seemed okay with it. Number 4 was just capturing the board's policy of any exterior light fixtures do not exceed 4,000 Kelvin.
Evan, on the PILO, who enforces that to make sure that payment's done? Is that the building inspector? Is there a note?
So I work directly with the building department,
Yeah,
and we keep a tally of that.
okay.
Usually when individual units are seeking occupancy, they're also paying their sewer connection and capacity
Yep.
impact fees. So, yeah, we have a process where we keep
Checks and
track of it.
balances,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
so just to back up to that, the idea of this is prior to issuance of an occupancy permit, they're gonna pay for an individual
Yeah.
unit, they're gonna pay 25% of that.
They're gonna pay $31,250. If I did the math correctly, 31,250 times 18
It comes up, yeah. I
should
Okay.
equal 562,500.
Okay, got it.
Good.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Now, was that Pilo, I know there was discussion about how we were figuring the Pilo. What did we end up going with? Four,
Four and a
4.5?
half.
All right,
4.5
4.5.
times
All right.
2 bedrooms, 125.
All right.
So then, as the board knows, based upon recent Village Center Overlay District, there's a variety of facts and findings in here. Fairly boilerplate. Didn't see the need to go into the same level of detail as we did on other public hearings.
Right.
But I think it captures the flavor of what was discussed, what some of the public benefits were, and the areas of compliance.
The only question I had was, I don't know what the number was, the one where you call out the elevation side that's a facing the abutter? You know that, the elevation?
That there were no windows on
That
that.
there was no windows at their high
Yeah,
clear
sorry,
windows?
yeah, transom windows?
Yeah, the transom window. I thought that was on the front lot and the back lot, buildings. You called out just one building number. I thought there was two.
I think they removed, because they
They
put the,
moved.
they put the
They
the
moved
park.
one over.
Right.
They took one unit out at the end.
And it's not
Yeah, so I
like-
don't know, try to see clarification?
Yeah, I just thought it was the both sides, both buildings.
On the two end units that face the residential abutter, did they both have transom windows? Okay,
Actually, all buildings did regardless.
okay,
It's not just those two buildings, all buildings.
okay.
Good. Good.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right, so what we'd be looking for is just a vote to ratify the draft decision.
Okay. Any more comments from the board? If not, I would accept such a motion.
I move that we ratify the certificate of decision for 13 Acton Road, AKA 9 Acton Road, as presented tonight.
Have a motion?
Second.
Thanks, Mike. In favor?
Aye.
Assumption.
And you're abstaining.
Yep.
Tim?
I believe there were 5 voting.
I'm an aye.
Got it. Okay. That's done. You need me to sign the final copies, or shall I come by?
If I can get 2 other copies of it, that no one marked up, then you can sign those this evening.
Well, you can take my copy.
All right?
Marked mine up.
I just need 3 originals.
Okay, thanks. Oh, I've got mine here.
Okay?
You get
And
mine.
I pass them over, and then I'll sign them all at once. Oh, wait a minute. You need my notary page.
Yeah, that's the last page.
Okay. As was previously announced in the agenda, there's no testimony on River Neck.
Correct. They've requested a continuance to May 25th.
Okay. And at that point, is it still their intention to present on the non-parking aspects? Is that the plan?
My understanding at this point is that they intend to be present on the 25th to update the board. I do not believe they intend to do any detailed presentations.
Okay, if they're not planning to do detailed presentations, we ought to let the public know.
Absolutely. So
Because, I mean,
I've requested that letter to be submitted as soon as possible.
Okay,
That way I can get it out. I would also suggest that based upon that, we could likely meet.
Yeah, let's try to meet here if at all possible. I mean, I do want to have the space if we have something the public's going to discuss, but if it's just going to be a status update with
That's my
no new material, then let's do it here.
Yeah, I got a feeling that people are gonna wanna come anyways.
Yeah?
I got a feeling people are gonna wanna come in.
They may want to come anyway, yeah, and that's perfectly fine, but in that situation, we'll be probably continuing the public testimony aspect of it. Now, we'll take any that's there, of course.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean,
But-
they don't have anything to provide, they're just giving a status update.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
I think the reason for that was, as you can imagine, they reviewed the video. And I think they are sensitive to some of the comments.
yeah,
So it's clear to me that they don't want to just submit a letter of continuance. They want to appear, update the board,
okay.
but they won't be presenting any new information that's going to require response or testimony.
What video?
The video
videos
of the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, they reviewed it like good lawyers.
Okay.
Okay, well, and I guess that takes care of that. We
A
have,
motion to continue to May 25th, Town Officers Room 204.
So moved.
Nan, second?
Second.
Mike?
Who seconded that?
Mike did. In favor? Aye. Okay. No other public hearings. New business, we ought to discuss further work session. I actually thought the last one we had was pretty useful in many respects.
That was really good.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
video went out to the board members who weren't
Right.
present.
Okay, so you've seen it.
Spectate it.
You spectated.
So just while we're talking about upcoming work sessions, just under next meeting dates, I think the town manager sent an
Right.
email to the planning board, June 6th. Select Board, Planning Board, Finance Committee.
Is that a
for-
tri-board meeting?
I believe it is.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
there's the person who would know.
Is that a tri-board or are you inviting?
It said to discuss the MBTA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I had
I wasn't sure if it was
understood.
an invitation to their meeting or if
Hi.
it was truly a tri-board.
Hi, Virginia.
Virginia Timmons, 28 Levitt Lane, member of the Select Board. We're having a regular Select Board meeting that evening, so we were inviting the Finance Committee and the Planning Board to that meeting, and we'll have it as an agenda topic at one of our meetings. We got a brief from Evan a couple weeks ago, and there was an urgent decision that had to be made, and I think it's just I got feedback from a Planning Board member and a Finance Committee member that having a
Yeah.
3-committee board discussion earlier rather than later would be a good idea.
Yeah.
There's no regulations or rules established by the state yet, but we wanted to make sure that those 3 boards all had the same information and that we can just get our questions on the table and
Yeah.
talk about it so that as Evan and others kind of go through the process, we're all weighing in earlier rather than later. And ultimately, it's going to be about zoning. So while the state was requiring that Evan came to the select board with the presentation, our feeling was, we ought to start integrating the finance committee and the
Wait a minute,
planning board.
I think
So
that
is
makes-
So will he
Is
do
it
the
a
presentation
tri-board?
for us again?
He can. It's the same one that was attached to the invitation that Paul Cohen sent out. And
Okay.
my suggestion was that maybe Evan step through it real quickly at that meeting, just so that we're all just hearing the same thing.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
Is it a tri-board or is it just your select board meeting?
It's a select board meeting, but you should post an agenda that you're going to be
Yeah.
at our meeting if you're going to have a quorum of people.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, we don't necessarily have to vote anything.
We didn't
but
feel we
So
needed,
there's no intent to vote anything.
No, there's no vote. It's just a
It's a
discussion.
discussion.
Okay, so we'll just,
And that's-
we'll just open the planning board meeting and close it. That's all that
That's at
we
6
do.
PM?
Yes.
6
Ew.
p.m.
Virginia, will you be,
But then
will
we
you
should
be,
post the
If-
meeting.
if-
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, we'll post them.
Yeah.
will you be asking for the planning board's feedback at that time?
Any questions or anything that you have that you want to get on the table, we just felt it would be better to have the discussion with the 3 boards together rather than doing it piecemeal.
Okay.
Since we were required to receive the briefing, in the end, it's really a zoning issue, and it affects the financial aspects of the town, so that's why we, so it's just an early discussion, that's all it is. We don't really know enough. I don't think anybody knows enough to take any action, and Evan can clarify that, but what
Very,
little
very,
we.
very early in the process.
Right, what little we know, we wanted to put on the table.
As this has been going on,
Yeah.
we actually know less and less over
Yeah.
time.
I agree, but I think there
curious.
was only a few of us that were on that call when they did the webinar.
Yeah.
So there's some of the members here that are probably like,
Yeah, I can send the link
Well,
out to
yes.
the webinars as well.
Probably a good idea.
Well,
Right.
They didn't answer questions, but it was
Yeah,
good.
I'll send the state link with the webinars, the frequently asked questions, so that people can try to get up to speed to the best of their ability.
I know what
But-
it is. I know
But to
what's going
Virginia's
on, but
point,
it's-
there's no decisions to be made. I would kind of view it as the beginning of a conversation. And there's probably going to be a lot of questions put on the table that we don't have answers to.
Right.
They
We
wanted
just thought
questions,
everybody
right, at
should
the
have the
webinar.
same beginning at the same beginning point.
They're looking
That's all.
for towns
you.
to give
Wait.
feedback.
And Virginia, while you're
Thanks a lot.
there, can you
Thanks for setting it up. They don't know.
inform the board about the June 13th Select Board
Just not-
Center Village meeting?
Oh, yeah, so.
Assuming you want to extend the invite?
So, one of the goals that the select board and the town manager set last August for this fiscal year was to start the conversation regarding potential improvements in the town center. It came up in the context of, one of the board members, for example, was saying, when we have events at town center, we don't have a good sound system there. Like, people can't hear from the little stage that's there. And we didn't want to, we wanted to make sure that anything that we brought up was either, was in concert with what other committees or boards might be doing, and we really didn't, this was more than, excuse me, this wasn't anything more than an idea. So what we decided to do was just, by the end of the fourth quarter, have a listening session and invite the relevant boards and committees to that. We're doing it on June 13th. It's going to be at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts, I believe. And it's really just for like the Center Village or any of the other boards and committees that want to come give input, have an opinion, or even the public. So again, it's just the start of a conversation, and we're trying to figure out whether this is a goal we should continue to roll forward, whether it belongs with someone else, or whether there's just not enough interest to do things that we should drop it.
So who all are you sending invites to?
I don't remember the whole list. I believe the Center Village, the Historic District Commission. I'm sorry, I don't remember. The Planning Board was going to be invited.
Yeah.
AgCom?
Who?
Agricultural Commission?
We can, sure. I mean, it's really, it's not by, I'd say it's not by invitation only either. It's, really.
But people need to get notices.
Sure.
To put it on their schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the one you said after agricultural, Nancy?
Somebody said
committee came
Parade
over here.
committee.
Yeah.
I'll send
you send
out
the
the email
list?
to the
Certainly.
planning board, and
Okay.
Include
You can-
Jen.
you can distribute it as you feel.
Okay, well, I'll send it out to the AgCom.
Thank you.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
only 5 of us anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I understand that, but you need to send the invite to Jen and
Melanson,
Lisa
yep.
also.
Yep. Sure, for the farmers, yep.
Farmers market.
Yep.
Um,
And we'll start putting it in our
And-
public service announcements.
Probably the Center Village Business Association, or whatever they're called.
Chelmsford Business Association.
Chelmsford Business Association.
Super.
Okay.
So basically everybody.
Yeah.
Don't leave
exactly.
anybody out, they'll get upset with you.
Well, I mean, if it's a listening session,
Yeah.
the right people there to
Right.
listen to.
Right.
And the other people that would be good to invite is representatives from the age, whatever.
Age friendly.
Yeah, the age-friendly committee.
Mm-hmm.
Because they always have some really good ideas.
Okay.
Super.
All right.
All right, so with that, in the context of trying to schedule the next work session, June's a little busy.
A bit.
It's up to you, and then looking a bit further, July and August, we need to figure out soon whether you're going to continue to meet twice a month or go down to once a month based upon vacation schedules.
Well, I'd say that,
How much we have going on?
yeah, and that's a good opportunity if things get a little bit light to dig a little bit deeper into some of the work, work session kinds of things.
So leave it open.
Yeah, just
To
leave
go to
them
one-
open.
Go to 1 week and leave the other one open.
Yeah,
for
leave
work
the other one
session.
open for work session, exactly.
great idea.
And then if something comes up in the middle, you can always do an A&R on the fly, But,
I mean, we had also talked about if we're gonna have zoning things to bring
right.
to fall town meeting, that the deadline for that's what, early August?
August 1st.
Well, that's, I think, the deadline you suggested.
No, I wanted to do it by June.
Oh, right, June, right,
Which is
right.
next month, which is in
When
two
I heard you
weeks.
talk, I heard you
Get it
say
done early.
June. Yes. August is normally when the board
Puts together
is
the-
wrapping up your work session process to hold a public hearing in
Right.
late August, early September.
So, I mean, I feel like the last couple town meetings have come up upon us and we haven't done any zoning work because it just somehow got away from us because we were doing other important things, but
Yeah, I
Did-
think there's.
Did we set a date with the NEMCOG again?
We did not, no. The
not.
the
That's-
homework was that the board members were going to look at the maps
Yeah.
and provide email comment to myself and Jeff.
I think we should do that sooner than later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, and I think there's some opportunities there.
well, yeah, I mean, maybe if we just, like you said, pick one of the areas
And try it out, yeah.
and work on it and make that our goal for,
Yeah.
All right, Golden Cove.
Yeah, there's a possibility. It's got all kinds of complications.
That's a whole lot of
Those maps.
complications.
Yeah,
do you have them at the office?
Oh, yeah.
Can I stop over and pick them up tomorrow?
okay.
I'll have to print them out for you.
Need approval for the meeting minutes?
I meant to.
Yes, that's the next one up. I've read them.
Yeah, I saw them.
Motion?
Yeah, I motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Tim?
Tim's already gone.
Tim?
Unanimous. He's on the beach with a
Tim
pina
dropped out.
colada.
Umbrella
Watching
drink.
the sunset.
Yeah. Lucky
All right.
Tim.
Evan, next meeting not at McCarthy
Correct,
as opposed to here. So it needs to get updated,
yes.
noted in the minute. So are we to the point that we need one more motion?
Well, I mean, we could,
Motion to adjourn?
yeah, that
Second that.
comes to mind. Who got it? Did you get it
Second.
first?
I second. No, I second
And we're all
You
in
got
favor.
it. Aye.
Before people run, I just need the.
Yeah, you need the signatures.
The signatures, yes.